Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. A quick little invitation to all of you IB Economics students to head on over to my website, bradcartwright.com, a website designed to help you improve your scores in IB Economics, whether that be on an in-class quiz, a test, or ultimately the IB exam. So if you want some more information, check out the description box below. And other than that, enjoy this video. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look at how to build this protective quota diagram. This diagram is built on the free trade diagram. So if you do not know how to draw the free trade diagram, check out that video right up there called How to Draw the Free Trade Diagram so that you understand what the base diagram is for the protective quota. Because this is a critical diagram for you to understand. The base diagram, the free trade diagram, is a critical diagram for you to understand, not just for the protected quota, but also for the protective tariff and the protective subsidy diagram. If you don't know how to draw those, there's a how to draw each one of those diagrams. Part of the how to draw series covers those diagrams, so make sure you check that out as well up in the information here above. All right, so here we go. Protected quota. Price, $, P1, PW, 0, Q3, Q1, Q2, demand 1, S world, S domestic, a title, figure 1, market for corn. I know that, always put the figure 1 in there because that way if there's a figure 2, you can simply reference it as figure 1 in your analysis or evaluation. If there's not a figure 2, it doesn't matter, right? Just name that figure 1. Just get in the habit of making this diagram perfect. Of course, this market is for corn, and almost all free trade and protectionist diagrams are about commodities, which gives us the ability to have a perfectly elastic world price and world supply curve, okay? So we're talking about thousands of bushels per year. Boom, there you go. That's where the story begins. Okay, so where does the story begin? Well, I'll tell you where the story begins. The same place it always does, in the beginning, right? Before let's say this is the market for corn in Germany, okay? So in Germany, there's a market for corn. It's operating, a domestic market for corn. It's operating at P1, Q1, yeah? And then the German government opened itself up to what? Well, to world trade, right? And allowed corn to come in from outside of Germany. And as a result of this new quantity of corn coming in, the price of corn dropped from P1 to PW, and as a result of that drop, guess what? There's a new equilibrium price quantity combination happening in Germany, which is PWQ2. Wow, that's pretty sweet if you are a demander of corn. If you want to buy corn in Germany, it just got a lot cheaper. But what if you're a farmer? Ooh, wait a second. What happened? Oh my goodness. Check it. All those farms out of business. Why? Because right here, they can no longer participate at the PW. They can't produce corn at the PW price level. So all of these German farms are out of business. So before the government comes in and tries to do something, because these people are going to complain, man. People don't lose their livelihood, especially their farms, and just go silent. No, they go to politicians and say, hey, listen, we're getting crushed by this importing of corn from outside of Germany. You better do something, okay? So the government's going to do something, which is, in this case, put on a quota, right, so that they can stay in business, right? Save the farms, save the farmers. That's a very solid and very common political platform, okay? But before the quota, though, how much of this revenue is coming from German producers? Well, if you think about it, it's this box right here, PWQ3. How do we know that? We know that because right here is an increase. What this is saying is that how much corn is produced in Germany below the PW price level. Well, PWQ3 is the quantity coming from Germany, and we know that because these are the only German suppliers that can produce below the PW level. Okay, so how much revenue is coming from producers outside of Germany? Well, all of this right here. Okay, So this is revenue going in the pockets of non-German farmers for the sale of corn in Germany, right? This is revenue domestically. This is revenue from for world producers. Now, what does a quota do? A quota is a set limit of quantity of, in this case, corn that's going to be allowed to come into Germany. And so the way that you draw this diagram is you draw a parallel line right there, and this is the new S domestic plus subsidy diagram, what's it called? Supply curve. And this is going to have massive implications in the marketplace. So let me clean it up a little bit so that you can take a better look at this diagram. All right, there it is, okay? So it's the exact same diagram. Don't get intimidated by all these letters yet, okay? Don't get intimidated later either, but don't worry about these letters right now. What is this saying? All we did is we moved the S domestic out because the government said there's only a set amount of corn that can come in from outside of Germany, okay? So the first thing you got to remember is what happened. P1, Q1 is where the story started. Then Germany opened up to the world market, right? And the government, this whole thing was operating at PW, right? Q2. And as a result of that, what we had was revenue here staying in Germany, right? And we had revenue that was leaving Germany and going to foreign countries, okay? That was what was happening before the quota. Now the quota is in place, and as a result of the quota being in place, supply has moved outward, okay? But what else has happened? Well, anytime there's a quota, which is a limit on things, you have to realize, and you know this in your basic studies of supply and demand, because now there is a quota put in place, everybody knows that corn is going to become more scarce in Germany. And anytime there's less of something, the price is going to rise. So as a result of the quota, immediately in Germany, the price rises up to P quota Q4. P quota Q4. So that is where the market is operating. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, that means that there is a change in the amount of revenue that is being generated overseas and domestically. Okay, so how does this look? Now, this diagram is one of the coolest and kind of most complex diagrams to think about and to understand. But let me just walk you through a scenario here of what is actually happening, okay? Remember that a quota is a set physical limit on the amount of corn that can come in to Germany from outside. So as a result of that, the story needs to start as imagining like there is like the first bushel of corn, second bushel of corn, third bushel of corn, up to Q3, okay? And this quantity, because we have this supply curve right here, this quantity of corn up to Q3, or out to Q3, is being produced by whom? Well, by German farmers. Okay. Then what happens? Well, then the gates at the borders of Germany open, and they allow foreign corn to come in. And that is representative by following this supply curve, the world supply curve. So that means that this quantity of corn has come in from outside of Germany. Then what happens? Well, what happens then is Germany slams the doors on any corn coming in from outside of Germany. Oh, so what does that mean? That means that, as a result, the rest of this corn is going to be produced where? In Germany. So that means that as a result of the corn coming in from outside of Germany and then the doors being closed, what does this become? This becomes revenue or corn that is sold by German farmers. And as a result, this revenue here, where is it going? Into the pockets of Germans, but not just that part. but also because the price in the marketplace is Q4, all of that is going into German pockets. Look at that. That's right. Well, if P now, look at it gets bigger, and now if that is true, if everybody is getting that price for corn of P quota, then hey, we got some more giving of German revenue to do. That's right. This is German revenue now, right there. And guess what is also going to be world revenue right there? Well, check that out, my friends. That's pretty intriguing, right? We haven't seen a diagram like that before. No, we haven't. Okay, so all of the blue on that screen is German revenue as a result of the quota. And that's all of this and all of this. What is this? This is world revenue as a result of the quota. Now, there's one last thing that always comes into play, which is welfare loss. Now, remember that this right here, I represents welfare loss because we used to be operating here, but because of the quota, now we're operating there. And actually, H right here represents welfare loss, okay? So in the protective quota diagram, there are two parts that are lost to like an overall loss of welfare. It's H and I, okay? So there. Now, there's some interesting things here. If you master this diagram, you will understand that there are massive trade-offs between, there are advantages and disadvantages of a quota versus a protective subsidy versus a protective tariff. If you don't know how to draw the protective tariff diagram, check out the video called How to Draw the Protective Tariff Diagram in this series. And if you don't know how to draw the protective subsidy diagram, make sure you check out that video in this series. Well, there you have it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want more information on the subscriptions available for IB Economics students around the world, check out the description box below. All right, my friends, a reminder to be good to yourselves out there. Be kind to someone today, and we'll talk to you in a bit.